Thanks for that introduction, Daniel. Good morning and welcome to today's seminar on doing business with the City of Brampton. My name is Sarah Villafria. I am the e-procurement project manager with the Purchasing Division. Here's our agenda for today's seminar. First, I'm going to briefly introduce the City of Brampton and our Purchasing Division. Then, we're going to understand what the City purchases and the various procurement methods. Where to access the bid opportunities and to view bid documents, which I'm going to show you how to navigate to the City of Brampton's Bids and Tenders website and how to navigate a vendor account. I'm going to introduce the city's new supply chain diversity program that it's coming this fall/early winter. Then we're going to go over an overview of the procurement process. And finally, we're going to finish off with a few items, including tips on how to prepare a bid response, the benefit of registering a vendor account, and I'm also going to share with you our contact information. And last but not least, we're going to open the floor for questions. Okay. Who we are. We are the 9th largest city in Canada and the 3rd largest in the GTA. We are the 2nd fastest growing city in Canada. The City of Brampton has a diverse economic base with over 73,000 businesses as of December 31st, 2019. And best of all, we have a young, multicultural, and growing labor force. Here are the objectives of the Purchasing Division: to promote procurement activities and decisions which are constant with the strategic, financial, social, and environmental objectives of the city. Provide professional and ethical leadership through the provision of a fair and transparent procurement process. Promote the most cost-effective and efficient use of city funds by achieving the best value for money. And to maintain trust and confidence in the stewardship of public funds. So what governs purchasing? We are governed by a few items, first being our purchasing bylaw. Second is our internal policies and procedures, and we align with intergovernment trade agreements such as the CFTA, the Ontario Quebec Trade Cooperation Agreement, and CETA, the Canadian European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. Who we support. So here in purchasing, we support all procurement activities in the city. So we support, our public works, planning, fire, transit, community services, corporate services, our legislative services, and our CAO's office. So what we purchase. Here are some examples of what we purchase, just to name a few. Constructions of buildings and roads, many services such as janitorial, snow clearing, supplies and deliveries of furniture, office supplies, clothing, advertising, various consulting projects, just to name a few. So our various procurement methods. So the first procurement we have is direct purchases. For all goods and services up to $25,000, the department conducts a direct purchase with their P card. It's a MasterCard, like a credit card. We do encourage them to use the Bids and Tenders vendor list as a database to obtain vendors for these purchases. And I'm going to talk about that vendor base later on and how you can register for it in the next few slides. The second type of procurement method is invitational procurement. So any procurement of goods and services between $25,000 and $100,000 is conducted by departments. This is a competitive procurement process with an issued bid document, and they must invite at least 3 vendors. The third procurement method is public procurement, and it's anything with a value of over $100,000. Public procurements are conducted by purchasing via our online bidding platform, Bids and Tenders, and we'll talk more about Bids and Tenders later in this webinar. So I'm going to go more into depth with invitational procurements. So the invitational procurements are conducted by the department. The department is responsible for developing and creating the bid document, and we encourage the department to use the bids and tenders database to get um, vendors to invite. Okay. Um, our internal departments will email this out, the bid document out, sorry, to our to their invited suppliers. The vendors are to complete the bid document and deliver it by email to the designated contact here. So I want to start by going through the actual bid document to show you, if you receive the document, what you need to look for, um, what you should really pay attention to, and what you're going to need to submit a bid. So here's the bid document. So the first thing here you're going to see is the cover page. So you'll see here, it's going to tell you it's an invitational bid call. You're going to see the description of work. So really, what are we procuring? What services do we want? It'll be right here for you. You're also going to see the closing date and time. So your bid responses need to be received to the email listed for the designated contact by this date and time. If there's any mandatory or non-mandatory pre-bid meetings, you'll also see it on this page. And again, here's the designated contact. So if you have any questions about the procurement, please ensure that you're only contacting the person who is listed here on the bid document. Second, you'll see the index page. Part A is the instruction to bidders. Part B is the general conditions and supplementary conditions, and this is what's going to govern your contract if you're awarded. Any forms. D is where you want to concentrate to see your scope of work, so it's going to detail what you're expected to do if you're the awarded contractor. And then part E is going to be your bid form. So this is what you want or what you need to complete as your bid submission, everything that's listed in part E. I'm not going to go through every general condition and supplementary conditions, but there are a few that I want to point out. The first is insurance. So this is where you are going to see the insurance requirement if you are the successful bidder. So if you're notified that you're a successful bidder, you will be requested to complete the city's certificate of insurance form with the policies and the liability amounts that are listed here in the bid document. So you want to make sure that if you're bidding, um, that you can provide us with a certificate of insurance with these liability amounts if you are the successful bidder. Next is the award of contract. So the award of contract is what you're going to be expected to provide if you're notified that you're a successful bidder. So you'll see everything that's required listed. So things like such as a WSIB certificate, certificate of insurance that we just went over with the policies and liability amounts. If there's an agreement, it'll say the agreement. Everything will be listed here. Just going to skip over here. Next, I want to go over supplementary conditions. So these are conditions above and beyond what are in general conditions. So you want to check here for any conditions. The most common one you see here is a blanket purchase order. Basically, what that means is that the contract is awarded for a period of time, but there is an option to extend for additional one-year period. Additional periods based upon the agreements with the city, our contractor administrator, and you as the vendor. So if you see this in here, you want to make sure that you're okay and your business can provide the services for the whole entire term of the contract. So here it's additional one-year period with the options of two additional one-year periods. So you must be able to provide those the services to the city for that 3-year period. Notice of no bid. So if you receive this from your client, contract administrator or the designated contact, and you're unable to bid for a reason. We ask that you submit a notice of no bid and indicate why. Indicate, that you're unable to provide it because of, you cannot delete delivery requirements. You have too much work going on right now. If you don't provide the service, it's important to let us know because that way we won't send you the bid opportunities again. Or alternatively, if you can provide the service, but you're just swamped right now with work, you want to indicate that to us that you're unable to meet the delivery, the completion requirements at this time. But for in the future, we can continue sending you the bid opportunities. Part D, scope of work. You really want to make sure that you review the scope of work. This is what you're going to be expected to do as the successful bidder. So it's going to provide the detailed expectations, delivery times. You just want to make sure that you go through this thoroughly. There may be pictures, drawings, but you'll see everything will here be attached. Next is the bidder's declaration. So this is what if you're interested in bidding, you read the scope, you're okay with the supplementary conditions and the insurance requirements, you want to submit a bid. You are required to complete everything in Part E bid form, and you'll see that it says to be returned with bid. So you're fully aware of every page that needs to be returned to the designated contact on the front page. You're going to complete this first page, the bidder's declaration. Please ensure that you use your full legal name. You may have an operating as name, but you can put that there. But we also need your full legal name, your address, phone numbers, and email. You're going to read the questions complete. If there was any addenda issued as a part of the bid, you want to make sure that you identify those. Date, sign, and have a witness signature. Then you're going to see your price schedule. This is where you're going to indicate your prices. The price schedule may look a little different than this. It may be a base bid where, where I say construction of a fence. It may not be, here, this is based on unit price. So it may not be by, say piece of wood. It's going to be provide me one lump sum to produce this 10-foot fence. This here is a unit price, so you'll see here you have your estimated quantity, your unit price, and your extended price. All the price schedules are going to be outlined for you. Just complete them as necessary. If you have any questions about how to complete the price schedule or what the expectations are, the way the price is laid out, contact the designated contact on the front of the invitational bid document. Bidder's experience record is also a common item you may see in these invitation procurements. Here, you want to make sure that you put relative experience to what we're asking for, similar work, and that's it for this bid submission. So again, you want to take everything that says to be returned with bid, save it, and return it to the designated contact here on the first page of the document. Okay. So that's how to complete an invitational procurement. Go back a couple of slides here. This is what we just finished doing. Next, I'm going to go to public procurement. So public procurement is conducted by the purchasing department via bids and tenders. So bids and tenders is an online bidding system that many organizations use. Most of the GTA municipalities, if not most of Ontario municipalities, use bids and tenders as our posting and receiving of bids for public tenders. So again, public procurement is anything over 100,000. So bids and tenders houses them for us. We release them. You actually submit through bids and tenders. Okay. I'm going to show you here what it looks like or a page. So if you go to the City of Brampton's page, you can go to Google and search City of Brampton bids and tenders. You'll be able to view our open procurements. So you can come in here and see what's open to bid, the days left, status, the bid details. You can actually download the documents and addenda. I'm just going to click download document. So once you click in here, you can actually see all the bid documents. So again, you're going to see the actual bid document, your specifications, anything that's required. You can also see the plan takers. So who's taken the plan already, who's interested in bidding. That's all listed here for you to see. Again, this is for public procurements, $100,000 and greater. So you can download those bid documents as well by clicking the download button. Give it a second to download here. So it opens. When you download the documents, you will see that it has a preview because unlike the invitational procurement, which is returned by email to your representative on the first page, anything that's conducted by purchasing and it's $100,000 and greater is put through the online bidding system. So to actually view these public procurements, it is free, but you're unable to submit unless you register account to bids and tenders. And I'll get into that in a little bit and talk about the different fees and what they offer. Okay. Gonna go back. This website is actually very neat as well because you can change to ones that are planned. So plan means are procurements that are coming in the future. So you can view those as well. You can see the estimated date that we expect those to be released. You can see unofficial results. So there's no opportunities there, but awarded you can see. So if you want to see, you submitted a bid and see the status, you can go to award, click bid details. You can see who was awarded to here. I'm actually going to go back and show you another one because that's a limited tendering. It's a little bit different. I just want to get a tender. Again, open. I'm going to switch this to award. I'm going to click here, this tender, bid details. So you can see here who it's been awarded to. You can see the bids that were submitted and the prices that were submitted. So it's a very handy tool for our supplier community to use to see what's going on here at the City of Brampton. I'm just going to switch back here to the slideshow. Just give me a second. Close this here. Okay. So next page, I'm going to get more into bids and tenders. So bids and tenders. The City of Brampton launched bids and tenders e-procurement platform in May 2017. And we use this platform to post public bid opportunities, so that's anything over $100,000 and greater, and maintain our vendor database. So vendors are able to view and download their bid documents, send questions, submit bids, and manage contracts online in a convenient location, and it's accessible 24/7. Okay, so I'm going to click on now to show you the site, how to access bid opportunities. I already did this a little bit, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail now. So we got back to the same page that I previously showed. We're in the open status. Okay, the bid details is where I went into previously again. So here you are going to show, you know, the different bid documents. You can download the bid documents, the specifications. You can actually submit a question. So if you're going to bid for this, and you have a question, or even if you're reviewing and have questions before you bid, you can submit a question. You can do this all online by here clicking submit a question. You can register for this bid, and you can click to review the documents. I've also showed you the plan takers. This is useful for our if you may not provide the whole service and you want to kind of partner with a GC because you only provide a sub service on maybe a construction project, you can see who the plan takers are and you can reach out to them to coordinate. Okay, next I'm going to go back to the slideshow and click about how to create a vendor account. So if it comes to the point where you view those bid opportunities and you're interested in submitting through bids and tenders, you can create your own account. So all you have to do is search create account, City of Brampton. You see it comes up here, create account. It's going to give you the options. So to create an account is free. So by creating that account, you're going to put your organization legal name, your address, you're identify if you're a certified diverse supplier. I'll get to that in the next couple of slides. You're going to select the categories. So you're going to select the categories that you provide. So we ask that you do not select everything. You may provide sand, winter sand. We don't want you clicking animal life because, we may have those animal shelter bids coming out. You don't want to be bombarded with emails for us releasing bids about, our animal services if you provide winter salt. So please only select the categories that your business actually provides. Next is agency notifications. So you want to make sure that you select only agencies that you can provide services to. There's many agencies from the east to the west coast listed here. So, if you can only provide services to the GTA area, select the agencies that apply because you will get weekly bid opportunities from each agency that you select. So just to minimize, the amount of emails that you get and to ensure that, our vendor lists are most accurate, we ask that you do select only agencies that you can provide services to. You are going to enter the contact information, first name, last name, email, password, and this is going to be the primary contact. You can also add up to 10 people in your account, and this gives 10 people to be able to submit a bid on your behalf, to use the account to view the bid opportunities when it comes time to submitting a bid. So by creating this free account, it gives you access to view the bid opportunities and view the bid documents with that preview symbol on it. But when it does come time to submit online, you do need to pay a fee to bids and tenders. You can pay per bid, which is $53.95, or pay the annual fee of $180.25 that allows you to submit online bids to any of the agencies that bids and tenders has. It's not just a City of Brampton fee. It's a directly straight paying to bids and tenders to be able to use their service. I'm going to go back to the slideshow. Next, we're going to talk about the Supply Chain Diversity Program. So in fall, early winter of 2021, we're excited to be launching a new Supply Chain Diversity Program, which will be embedded within the invitational procurement process. Any procurement of goods, services, and construction from $25,000 to $100,000 is conducted by internal departments. A competitive procurement process will be conducted using our e-procurement platform bids and tenders. So what we're doing, we're taking, previously we saw that bid document that the designated contact would email. Now that bid document is going to be emailed through bids and tenders. Okay, so we're introducing the department to that as well. Along with that, the department has to invite at least 3 vendors, which one of those is a certified diverse supplier, and I'll get into the next couple slides what makes someone a certified diverse supplier, and one vendor that has never been invited. So that vendor list that you registered for, those different categories, the animal services versus winter salt, we're going to go through that list, and it shows you've never been invited. We are going to make sure that our internal departments are selecting those for our invitational bid opportunities. Next is Supply Chain Diversity Program. So we're creating an opportunity to embed supplier chain diversity as a part of the city's invitational procurement process. Suppliers who want to participate in this program have to be certified as a diverse supplier, and that certification is done through an established non-for-profit supplier certification organization, some of which I've listed below. There may be some membership fees to become certified, but you have to contact those certification organizations directly. Those organizations will require different information from you to certify you as a diverse supplier. and that their certification lists are sent to us many times throughout the year, and we actually verify that through um, our bids and tenders that you are indeed certified. Um, so it comes directly uh, to us. So if you remember from the past few slides, and showing about how to register for a vendor account, it asked if you were a diverse supplier. So if you are certified through one of these organizations, you want to make sure that you select yes when set up your account, or if you become certified later, that you go back into your account and mark that you are a certified diverse supplier. So here's how we define a diverse supplier. So a diverse supplier is any business or enterprise that is certified by a supplier certification organization that is at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by persons belonging to an equity seeking community or social purpose enterprise. These communities include, but are not limited to, women, Aboriginal people, visible minorities, racialized people, veterans, persons with disabilities, and lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, two-spirit community. Social purpose enterprise. Those that have visible and barriers to employment. For example, the person coming out of prison, a person coming out of addiction recovery, and the person lacking early educational support. The person with cyclical mental health issues, and so many other traditional visible barriers. Similar to certified diverse suppliers, both social certifies similar to diverse suppliers, bisocial certifies social purpose enterprises. Again, so you would have to be certified. So in order to be certified as a diverse owned business, the applicant must satisfy the following criteria: be a for-profit enterprise, operate in Canada, be a Canadian citizen / permanent resident, be able to operate as a supplier of products or services, be 51% owned and operated by self-identified and verified diverse individuals. If your business satisfies all of these criteria, do approach the certification organizations and get your business certified, as well as making sure that your bids and tenders account is updated to reflect your certification status. So procurement process. So we talked about the different procurement processes. The invitational is done by department. Anything over 100,000 currently is through bids and tenders. And I briefly showed you when you view the bid opportunities how to submit a question, but I'm going to go a bit more detail into that now. So first is questions and addenda. So during during the bidding process, vendors may submit questions in writing to the designated contact person identified in the bid document, so that would be an invitational procurement, or be a Brampton bids and tenders, public procurement, no later than the question deadline that's in the document. That's usually for public procurement, it's usually 1 week before the closing date. You would ask the question by clicking that submit a question button from the Brampton bids and tenders page. And again, if it's invitational, it's just an email to the designated contact. A response will be issued as a formal response in a form of the addenda. And the addenda needs to be acknowledged as a part of the bidder's declaration and the bid document. So when I went through how to complete the bidder's declaration in the invitational, I noted that page where it says, you have to note the addenda from addenda to addenda. That's where you're going to notify it. That's where you're going to identify it. So it's in the bidder's declaration in the in our bid documents. Evaluation. So the evaluation of the processes. So quotes and tenders are awarded to the lowest compliant bid. So we know exactly what we want, the type of service, as where proposals are evaluated based upon criteria noted in the bid document. So a request for proposal, we may not know what we want, how we want to get there. So we lay out our expectations, our evaluation criteria, and that's how bidders respond. They respond to those proposals and it's evaluated by an evaluation committee. Okay, I am going to actually flip back because I want to go back to bids and tenders, the Brampton site, and show you exactly a, um, a proposal and where you can find that information about the evaluation and your expectation is what's required for your bid submission. So give me 1 second here. Here we go. So to the bids homepage, I'm looking for an RFP. You'll see it noted here. So I want to go to bid details. So here's my document. I'm going to open my document. Bring it over here for you. So you'll see here part B is evaluation criteria. So I'm just going to scroll to part B. So here's your evaluation criteria part B. So you're going to see your mandatory criteria and your technical content. Okay. This is what you have to provide to the city. And I just want to get, I think I went too far here. Sorry, go back up. Here we go. So the criteria that was listed above, the mandatory evaluation criteria and the evaluation that was laid out above, in addition to that, the evaluation scoring sheet is going to give you the weight factor. Okay, so the weight factor is how much of a percentage is going to each evaluation criteria. So something that has a higher percentage, so this one here, a bidder's experience is 45, you want to make sure you put extra detail and effort into those larger sections. Okay, so anything that's an RFP, you just want to again make sure that you're looking at the evaluation criteria and the evaluation scoring sheet and preparing that proposal accordingly. Okay, I'll go back to the slideshow here now. Procurement process, so award. So once you, or if you're, submit your bid and you'll get notification that you are the successful bidder, it's in accordance with the award requirements that I previously showed you in the invitational bid document, but they are similar in those public bid documents. So it outlines everything that's required from you to become the successful bidder if you receive that award email. So you're going to have the certificate of insurance as shown here. The certificate of insurance must be completed on the city's form by your broker. It could be a WSIB certificate depending on the type of work. You are required to create a vendor account on bids and tenders if you don't already have one, and it may be executing agreement if applicable. So some of the bigger contracts, the tenders, RFPs, construction, so you do have agreements that need to be exercised. But as I said, and as I showed you in the beginning of the presentation, each bid document does specify the details that are required as a part of your award if you're successful. Okay, how to prepare a bid response. This is just some tips on how to prepare the bid response. First, please do not assume that they're the same as last time. You may have bid on this, 6 months ago or a year ago and it's up again. The bid documents and scope of work is updated all the time. So take a look through the bid document, the scope of work, and look exactly for what the city is asking for so you can bid accordingly. 2, read and follow all restrictions and requirements. Most of the terms and conditions in the city bid documents are very standard, but there may be additional prerequisites added to the bid document. Example, health and safety legislation, bonding, security requirements. So just make sure that you review those during the supplemental information part of the bid document to make sure you're fully aware of, the contract you would be entering into with the city. 3, allow enough time to prepare your bid. Make sure that all the forms are completed, signed, and submitted so that witness signature on the bidder's declaration that I showed previously, make sure that's signed, everything's signed. Don't leave to sign everything to the last minute or submit, right before that 2 p.m. deadline. You may have technical issues, and if it, or lose internet, and you wouldn't be able to bid, if something happens so close to that cutoff time. Comply with all terms and conditions. Next is the evaluation criteria. So as I just previously showed you in the last slide, make sure your evaluation criteria, you answer everything that they're looking for, all the different sections, and look at the weight factors. Okay. The vendor should directly address each item and demonstrate that you're able to satisfy the criteria. Consider the weight factors for each criteria. So you must match the information that's provided and how heavily each weight factor is. So the last one I showed you, the previous experience was, 45%. You want to make sure that, you spend enough time completing the sufficient work experience because it's worth so much of the grade. Criteria that is heavily weighted will warrant a greater detailed explanation. So the more detail is required in those valuation criteria with the higher percentages. And again, prepare in advance as much as possible. Ensure that your bid is submitted before the closing date and time. You don't want to wait till the last minute and have a computer issue and be unable to submit. So the benefits of registering for a vendor account. So city staff has access to your business contact information for direct purchases. So that's the ones under 25,000. Invitational procurements. So those are the ones again done by the department for the 25 to 100,000. We are going to be doing the supplier diversity program, or even emergency situations. We would have your contact information there. It's important to ensure that you are registering to the correct category for the service that you provide. So the invitations get to you that reflect your line of business. If you provide PPE equipment, again, you don't want to be registered in winter sand and get those notifications because you can't provide those services, and it's just going to, increase your inbox. Another benefit is receiving email notifications on public procurement opportunities from all agencies that's using bids and tenders. So by selecting those agencies, that you're interested or can provide services to, you're going to receive emails for all those agencies, not just the city of Brampton. You're going to receive email notifications on new programs and events hosted by the purchasing division in the city of Brampton, and creating the account is free. It costs nothing again to create that account and to view your bid opportunities. Okay, to contact us. So if you have any questions for purchasing, you can reach us by phone, by email, or to the City of Brampton's Bids and Tenders site. Questions and answers. I'm going to stop here now and open it up to any question and answers that you may have from the information you were provided today.